High-tech graphics say we're looking at the roll hoop brace in this one. So before I kick off on that, just a big thank you again to everyone who's contributing questions and ideas and all that, just the encouragement to the channel. Thanks, that's great. If you can share the channel as well, that'd be brilliant. Try and get the number of viewers up, and it kind of makes it a bit more worthwhile doing the videos. Biggest thanks goes to these guys who have visited the tip jar and put a few quid in there for me. That's really good. If anyone's got a couple of quid spare that they want to help this project, you know what to do. Thank you. Right, so the rear kind of engine cage thing, whatever you want to call it, is all tack welded up and ready to be welded to the chassis. This one is, so for a while, let's get around here, you can see we've just got a big empty space at the moment. And it's been one of those things I've been kind of umming and ahhing a little bit about. So MSUK spec for these says you have to have at least one cross brace, which has to be this huge great big 50mm, I think it's 2.6 CDS tube. So I mean, you could probably drive a truck over this, but I suppose that's the idea. If you're upside down, you'd be thankful of it. So I have a choice. I can just put one bar straight across like that. You can put like a V thing in. There's like a multitude really. If you can imagine anything that will support that and those corners. I suspect even these that I've got in might meet the spec, but I'm not 100% sure. So I've been umming and ahhing about putting one bar in or doing this V thing. Now obviously one bar doesn't give that corner any extra strength, but the V thing uses more metal, so we'll weigh a little bit more. Well, yesterday I got one of the bits of metal which is roughly the right size and weighed it. And it works out that if I do a V, it adds about 1 kilo of metal over doing just the straight thing. So for the sake of 1 kilo, it seemed to me it's safer to do the V. It also helps a little bit with potentially for where the shock support and engine mounts go, because it gives me a symmetrical, symmetrical anchor points for engine mounts and suspension mounts and things like that. So a V it's going to be. So I'll apologise for the whining noise in the background. It's cold out here, so the heat is on. You'll have to put up with that, because I'm not putting up with the cold. So coming down to the middle here, there's sort of several ways of doing it. I can either have one bar on the middle and the other one butting onto it, or you have both onto this kind of datum plate, if you like. Decided the way I want to do it is I'm going to have them both coming down here, but I'm going to have to, I have a small gap here between them so I can get in and get a decent weld around. I think what I would do is I'll actually put like a plate in here that will give this a good bit of triangulation around this area as well, and we'll also give that a sort of a thicker plate that will link them all together to give it a nice strong kind of position. So what I need to do is work out the angle I need to cut the first bar, and I'm going to use bits of string to mark, hold it down with a magnet. Then I should, my idea is I can then measure the angle of the bit of string. I could do it if my magnet didn't hold it down too well. Okay, so that, and then this will be going all the way up there. Now with my angle finder doofer, I should be able to measure that angle pretty well there. Not only have I then got a reading, is basically I leave this in this shape and set the chop saw. I can use this as a kind of a template. Now that's the first one cut to size. Right, old fiddly job, because of the fish mouth thing being on a curve meant I couldn't just set the notch cutter up to the right angle, because of course the angle that's needed at the top is different from the angle at the bottom. Anyway, what it means is now that one's done, I can then do the Tracy thing. I don't know, I'm pointing at the back of the screen. I can do the Tracy thing on the top. I don't have to reverse it or anything, because no, hang on a minute, I do have to reverse it. Anyway, I'll do the Tracy thing, which should make it easier. The nuts for the harness eye bolt things have arrived, so I've now welded those on the back and welded in this kind of spreader plate thing. I'm just now getting this in the correct position and then making that one match that, so that will go up to there and we'll have a nice strong V. So the harness bar across there, which will also be handy for attaching other things, maybe engine mount and stuff like that. Got the bracing bits, or whatever you want to call them, tack welded in now. Those are the same 50mm, I think it's 2.65. The MSUK has a spec for all this stuff, CDS, bloody heavy stuff, but obviously if I'm upside down in a ditch, hopefully this lot doesn't deform and I'm just sat there in my car upside down in a ditch and brushing myself off, and no more than that. Pleased with this little plate. So like all things I'm trying to do on this car, if one thing can do two jobs, then that's great. So the plate, obviously, because this section here is, I think it's 2mm wall thick, so to give it extra strength, and obviously where there is this gap, that's 3mm plate welded on the top, which is also the correct, in fact it's over spec'd for the harness bolts as well, so that's giving me a nice solid mounting point for these, and probably that will also be a mount point for the engine, front engine mount there as well. Whilst doing all this chassis stuff, I've been quietly accumulating parts that I think are the bits that I'm going to need. So we're going to play a YouTube guessing game. I've got a couple of these shocks that I'm planning on using on the front. You can see these are small, very for a shock, very lightweight. I think they're about 3 kilo. They are compression and rebound adjustable and preload adjustable, and you can see that looks pretty well new. It's not new. What do you reckon I bought that from? And this one's just arrived, which doesn't look new. So obviously, to try and minimise bump steer, the smaller ideally I'd get a rack that fitted exactly, but if I can get a rack that fits in my gap up there, and I might have to play a bit of clever games with one of the arms, but narrower is much easier to change the what would you call it, like the leverage point, than wider. So what do you reckon? I'm hoping this would do the trick. Really narrow. 30 quid off, no, sorry, tell a lie, I got a discount, 28 quid on eBay for this. Anyone want to try and guess what car this comes off of? You know where to put your guesses. Comments below. That wraps up this video. That's all that bit done. You can see behind me. Next one I'm going to be starting on the upper wishbones. So that will come along when it comes along. Please do the like and the subscribe. It'd be really great if you can share with any other petrol head friends. as I said, you know, the channel's starting to pick up, but I'm still not earning a penny from doing these. So, you know, it does start becoming more of a drag than something that's helpful to do. If you can spare a couple of quid, tip jar or wherever it will come up, tip jar link, that would be really helpful. As you know, one person paid for, where are we all, I'm not really bad at this pointy thing, but basically that 40mm square box section was paid for out of tip jar money, which is really, really helpful. Anyways, I shall see you soon when I'm doing the upper wishbones. Bye.